Hi bosses, here are 3 strategies to deal with business competitors. Let's get into it. Are you worried about your competitors? Do they give you any anxiety or keep you up late at night? Not to worry. Let's get into some of the strategies that you can use to alleviate that burden. This is how you can overcome both. At the very end, I have a secret strategy that I use that you won't hear from other YouTubers at all. Wherever your customers spend their money, eBay, clothes, whatever, that's also your competition. Not just your local competitor, your direct competitor. Wherever they spend their money, that money is your money. You want that money as much as anybody else. One of the ways that you can do that is by adding value. You're always adding value to yourself or your company. But you don't want to just add value. You want to become invaluable. You want to be more valuable than their employees. You want their employees to lean on you to find out what's new in their industry. You can pay attention to the industry. You can pay attention to your competitors. And you should. You should know your competition better than even the competitors know themselves. But that isn't your main focus. Your main focus is always on your customers. You want to know where the industry is headed before your customers do. So then your customers will reach out to you, and when you're talking, you can say, oh yes, I see this is going to happen in your or our industry. And they're going to be amazed. Now, how do you know these things? Where do you find these things out? Here's what I did. I went to industry associations, and I know this so well, I don't even need to read anything because I lived this over 20 years. I joined industry associations. All right, when I joined those associations, I found out everything that was going on in the industry. I had friends that worked at this company and that company. They told me. Those were 3 meetings per year. In addition, I went to trade shows. A lot of companies there, when they're coming out with new technology, that's where they introduce it, right at a trade show. So I am there at the trade shows. Usually, industries will have at least 1 or 2 trade shows. I'm not talking about regional trade shows. I'm talking about national trade shows. Those are the only shows I went to. So you find out what's going on at the trade shows. In addition, I advertise. People will call me up and say, hey Stan, I'm working on this new product here. Really? Yes, we need something. We're having a problem. Can you help us, invent something or fix this? I didn't even know what the product was, but they called me up. So now I know this new piece of equipment that's going into the airlines industry, which is true story. I got this big piece of equipment. They're having problems with it. So I knew that in the airlines industry, they're adding this piece of equipment. Why? How? Why did they call me up? Because I was everywhere. Because they knew that I had patents. I invent things. So they relied upon me. In addition, I advertised. I went to trade shows. I was involved with industry associations. So people were referred to me. They can be referred to you. You just need to get out there. So that's a big strategy by being everywhere. As I told all my associates, we don't want to be a luxury. We want to be a necessity. We want them to really want us, all right, to rely upon us like we're part of their family. And when they pay us, they're paying us not out of discretionary funds, all right, they're paying us because they need to pay us. Not disposable, not discretionary, but a must because we are part of their family. And you will become irreplaceable. And as I've said before, you take value, you turn it into being invaluable, and your sales will rocket. So yes, you study competition. If you can copy their product line, great. If you can add on to their product line, which is your product line, even better. I also tell people, if you can get a patent on at least one item, people will respect you. They'll think that you're intelligent. They will think that you know what's going on. And if you can get more than one so they don't think that you're a one-hit wonder, that's even better. And I had a bunch of patents. All right, so people knew that I was always, inventing this, inventing that. It got to the point where I had enough patents on a number of new ideas, I didn't even need to apply for a patent because I had that new idea protected like a big moat. And family members said, Stan, if we apply for a patent on all of your ideas, we'll go broke. But we didn't have to. And we had a total of 800 products, of which I invented 300. I didn't have anywhere near that amount of patents. The patents that we did have protected all of the other beautiful ideas. And if you can get to that stage, what'll happen then is competitors might look at the industry. They're going to say, wait a second, you have too many products. I don't want to duplicate them. I don't want to compete. And there's enough patents there. How am I going to get around this patent or that patent? That's what I want for you. And by the way, if you do have any questions, there's a link below. You can either put your questions down below, or if they're private, there'll be a link down below where you can send me an email and only I will see it. And I will do my best to help you as best I can. You want as big a moat as possible. And that's why I had 800 products. Now, interestingly enough, a company that you know of, invented a product, got a patent on it, but it really wasn't in their wheelhouse. It wasn't in their bailiwick, okay? They said, Stan, this product is really in your industry. Would you like to sell it? Yes. So I had another product with a patent on it that I put into my mix, and people thought I had the patent on it. I advertised it so much, everybody believed I invented it. I also named it, since I was the first one, and even at the company that was manufacturing it, they started using my trademark name. So what happens is, when you get a patent, people will come to you, and even the company that invented this particular product, I named it, they use my trademark name, for their product. And then anybody who called them up, they referred them to us. So there's a lot of ins and outs that are going on. All you need to do is market, which I go like that, always talking. Get out there, go to the trade shows, the industry associations, advertise, and then you're going to have all these people working for you to promote you and your products. I promise it works. Now, you say, well, I'm a life coach. It doesn't matter. Get out there. Join associations. The more friends that you have out there, the more referrals you're going to get. Oh, I know Joan, or I know John. He does this. You're having a problem. Call my friend John. There's other videos I'm going to come out with that will help you be number one in your industry. I promise. I don't care what industry it is, unless it's like light bulbs. It's very easy to be number one in your industry. I promise. When I started, I was zero. I did have a competitor. And eventually I put them out of business. I had to get out there, and it was not easy because I had to figure out all of these, opportunities and methods myself. I'm going to reveal them all to you so that you can be like I was, number one in my industry in the world. It's also important that you think long term. Sometimes people chase their tail. They want like the immediate sale. Now, if you need the immediate sale for the money, that's one thing. But if you can play the long-term game, that helps. And what I mean by that is you see where the industry is going. You talk to the movers and the shakers. You talk to the big companies in your industry. You become friends with them. They will say, oh, yes, well, as an example, with an ATM, we see an ATM where you're going to be able to scan a passport. You couldn't scan that at the original ATMs when they're first starting to get out there. They were talking about ATMs that'll do this and do that. So I knew where the industry was headed because I spoke to the equipment manufacturers. Then the equipment manufacturers said, hey, Stan, we're going to do this. So I needed to modify my product in order to accept, their new, contamination control gate on ATMs, right? So I had to make something for that. Believe me, you do not want to play catch up. You want to be in front of everyone, and then what happens is you can tell your customers what's going to happen, and they think that you're the vanguard. You have a crystal ball. They will rely upon you. Hey, Stan, what's going on in the industry? What do you see happening in the next 12 months? That's 2 strategies right there. Now, I mentioned before about copying your competitors' products. If you can copy them and improve upon them, catch them with their pants down, that's even better. I came out with a better product than the people who are in the original industry that I got into. People offer a 1-year warranty, you offer a 2-year warranty. Their product works 13 times, true story. Their product worked 13 times, our product worked 15 times. Little changes like that. If their company is a public company, buy a share of stock, okay? Go to the shareholders meeting. Find out what's going on. You, as I said, you want to know them better than they know themselves. You never know what tidbits of information you'll pick up about them and you'll go, oh, I can beat them to the punch. Because as the purchasing agent at 3M, you know 3M, as he told me, he said, Stan, 3M is a really big ship. It takes us a long time to turn. So if those are your competition, you can beat them by being swift and nimble and quick, like quick reactionary force. Also, never underestimate the market and always believe that some huge company is going to get into your industry. What would you do then? We've heard someone talk about they specialize in gyms. Well, what happens if LA Fitness comes around the corner to them? They better have a really good business model. Well, what's also important is to keep your edge. A little bit of paranoia is good. Bill Gates was paranoid. As a matter of fact, when the government was taking his deposition, he came off as paranoid, and people are thinking, he's got $80 billion. What's there to be paranoid about? But he was right, because due to that deposition, that enabled Google to get a foothold. Otherwise, Bill would have been all over Google. That's a true story. I also recommend you read books about guerrilla marketing and how to drive your competition crazy. I talked before about if you were in the service industry, like let's say you're a life coach. Here is what I would do. I would look at the other areas involving coaching. And coaching is a wide industry. You have a lot of various industries out there. I would look for something that is used in another area of coaching. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's not used in, let's say, life coaching, I would take that particular philosophy or theory or practice. I would modify it in my industry as a life coach. I would change it. I would give it something, something new, novel, especially a new, novel, creative name, and it would belong only to me. Now, all the other life coaches don't have that particular train of thought or that other particular service offering. It's just for me, and I would do this on a regular basis. It's already out there. It's being used to help, other people bring it into your area of coaching. These are things that are used in other areas that work. So now you're going to bring them into your particular specialty. It could be if you happen to help, let's say, women with postpartum depression. Are there other industries out there that are coaching that you can take something from them and bring it into your industry, give it a different name, put a little twist on it, modify it for your particular coaching industry, coaching area, and now people will say, oh, this coach over there has something that no other coach has in our industry. Nobody's going to know it came from, a life coach or any other different types of coaching area. And what happens then is you now have a whole area of which to bring in other different coaching styles, methodology, etc. That will separate you from all of your competition. And meanwhile, your competition is scratching their head going like, where did they get that idea from? And then you advertise that new coaching style, all right, coaching methodology, and people will go, oh, that's a new, unique, novel, creative idea. Let's see if that works. Next thing you know, you get hired. And if you're the only one, you can charge more for that method of coaching than everybody else because nobody else has it. That's what really helped differentiate me. I was always coming up with something new. People would call me on the phone, they say, hey Stan, what's new? Every time they did, I had a new product to talk to them about. they weren't necessarily interested in it, but it was always something new, and it broke the silence. And then what happened was people called me up and they said, Stan, I was referred to you. Oh, really? Yes, somebody told me that if you don't have it, nobody has it. So I got the first and the last call. You will also be known as a thought leader in the industry you're in, and your competition can't copy it. And if you're in the product space industry, if you can get more than one patent, that will really help secure your position there. People won't think you were lucky or you're a one-hit wonder. Something also, be ready to shift. Just in case there's a big change in your industry, somebody comes up with a new revolution or evolutionary idea or product, you're always ready to act. And how you can find out about that is because all the other people that are out there have become friends of yours. Why? Because you gave them value and you became invaluable. A friend of mine called me up who worked at another company. We became friends. Stan, I just got a new product information sheet. You're going to have a competitor. Wow. So I got the information, I got the pricing. They never stood a chance and never let them get a foothold. So you remember what they say, you can lead, follow, or get out of the way. I want you to be a leader. I want you to be a boss, and a great boss at that. And by the way, if you're number one or you're number two, sometimes it pays to be number two. And in another video, I'll tell you why that is. And remember, the more you talk to your customers, the more you're going to become friends. And I gotta tell you, a lot of my customers, even big companies, do you think they're all business? I would say that we would talk about business 20% of the time. We're talking about Faneuil Hall, the Boston Red Sox. We're talking about, the North End. We're talking about what's happening in redevelopment in Boston on the wharf. Oh yeah, that's right. I better get a purchase order number. You forget you're on the phone and you're on a business call, but it's all friends. That is because you give them value. You become friends of theirs. You see them at trade shows. That's because you have that face-to-face meeting, shaking hands, pressing the flesh. Maybe you get to share a lunch together, maybe a dinner together. You see them a few times a year. That is a business friendship. And when you talk, you're talking to a friend. As a matter of fact, I had well over 100 of those purchasing agents that were close friends of mine. I even was invited to a wedding. That's what happens. Because people can judge your level of sincerity. Like I hope you can see I'm sincere when I'm making this video for you. I care. I've never met you. I don't know you. You don't know me. But I care about your success. It is fun to pass down the knowledge that I have learned and gained over 20 years to other people. And believe me, there's a ton of knowledge I have. I don't know who else has this level of knowledge. I've personally exhibited at 300 trade shows. I don't know anybody that's exhibited more trade shows than I have, from LA to Berlin, Germany. I have done that. I've been there. And that's why I want to help you succeed. Well, I did promise you a secret strategy, but first, before we get into that, if you got any value or you found this interesting, please, below, hit share, subscribe, and like. I get some sort of feedback that, you learned something. Even if you don't like me, hopefully you learned something, okay? Here is the secret strategy. If you want to know what the future holds, take a look at your past decisions. Did you make wise decisions? Did you make the right decisions? And if you did not, why not? If you found out something that was happening and you made a decision and it was the wrong one, well, what caused you to make that decision? That will help you to make better future decisions. I can tell you that I learned this and I made a decision like that, and it was the wrong decision. All right, I should have looked at this, found out about this, and then maybe tempered my decision or, asked for some additional feedback in the industry before just reacting. Normally the way that, at least with me, I hear something, I'm a man of action, I want to do something about it. Well, sometimes it's nice to go, whoa, let me think about this a little bit. And sometimes it helps if you have people at your company or even, a spouse, a mate, a friend you can talk to that just might slow you down a little bit. So this strategy is this. When you hear about something new? Say if it happened in your past. How did you react then? What decisions did you make? Did you start advertising, start marketing? Did you hire somebody new for that position and it did not work out? So look at the past to help you with future projections. It'll make you a lot better at deciding what to do in the future, because decision making is really key. It will also help you to see, what's going to happen before it does happen, because you can sort of see where the industry is going and make projections. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter if you're a product person or if you're a coach. You can see how things are changing. And you're also going to find out who else is out there that is in charge, or that is the vanguard that you turn to find out what's happening. Become friends with them. Always ask people what's new. As a matter of fact, there's a great icebreaker with all of the parties I've gone to, hospitality suites, at the big industry get-togethers. You're in line at the bar, you're talking to somebody, you say, hey, so what's new? What's new in your industry? That's a wonderful, easy, simple opening line. You're not saying, hey, what's confidential? Okay, you're saying, what's new with you? What's new in your industry? They might tell you about, who knows, but it will be important. So again, I hope you received some valuable information. Look forward to my other videos where I get in more in depth about a lot of other subjects I hope you find valuable. This is BossMakers Academy. I'm Stan. Thanks for watching. See you again. Bye now.